Hello and welcome to this video. I am Faiz Khan, founder of EduHans. EduHans helps accounting students to pass the exams confidently by making difficult concepts really easy to understand. So we are still working through the grade 12 Matric accounting series. We're working through the November 2020 exam, paper 2. And in this video, I'll be working through question 2.2. In the previous video, I worked through question 2.1. Now in this video, I'm going to continue with question 2 and by starting off with question 2.2. So here you can see, so we'll follow the normal, approach where we read through the scenario, try to make sure we understand what we are reading, and then also as we answer the question, we will answer the question how you should be answering it for the exam, but we may also go a little bit further to help you gain a better understanding of the topic. So here you can see we have leather manufacturers. Leather manufacturers is owned by Tallow Andrews. They produce leather purses and leather jackets. The financial year ends on 28 or 29 February each year. So the first required is for purses, and then the second part of the required is for jackets. So we'll first focus on purses. So they say calculate, so in 2.2.1, calculate the break-even point for purses for the year ended 28 February 2021. So we'll go straight into answering that, but obviously we'll need we will need the information. So when we see break-even point, what must come to your mind is the formula for break-even point. Now I'm going to switch over into here. So if I say 2.2.1, when you see break even, so break even in units, or break even point in units, equals fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit. Now, contribution margin, so what you must know, contribution margin per unit equals sales per unit minus total variable costs. Total variable cost per unit. Okay, so just be aware of that. So in order to get break even, we're going to need fixed costs, and we're going to need contribution margin per unit. And that will give us break even point in units. That will give us break even point. Okay, and this is going to be in units. Okay, so let's go and have a look what the scenario has provided us. So here we have the information, and we're going to focus only on purses, and we're going to focus on 2021. So there we have direct material costs per unit, direct labor costs per unit, selling and distribution costs per unit, and that gives us total variable costs per unit of 255. Then we have total fixed costs, which is 936. Then we have number of units produced and sold. We have break-even number of units, and we have selling price per unit, 295. So fixed cost was given 936, 123. So there you can see fixed cost was given 936. So here we will just say given. Okay, and then break-even point, contribution margin per unit is 295 minus 255. Okay, so contribution margin per unit is selling price per unit, 295 minus total variable cost per unit, which is 255. So just to give you, to show it a bit in a longer way. So calculation. So once again, you don't need to do this calculation in an exam. You don't need to show the workings. You can just do it like that over there. But I just want to show you how we got it. So to get contribution margin per unit, it is sales price per unit minus total variable cost per unit, and that will give us contribution margin per unit. Will give us contribution margin Okay, so contribution margin, which is just basically CM. CM stands for contribution margin. So that was given to us 295. That was given to us 255. So it is equal to 295 minus 255. Okay, so this is just to show you how to think through it. But you can simply do the calculation like that over there. So this is equal to 295 minus 255. So now we say 436 divided by 40, which gives us 23,400 units. So break-even point. So in order for them to break even, the company needs to sell 23,400 units of leather purses. What is the break-even point? Break-even point is simply where your sales equals your total cost. Another way put, break-even is where your profit is zero. Okay, so what is a break-even point? Where you neither make a profit, you neither make a loss. You simply come down to zero. Your profit or your loss number is zero. So that is where sales equals all costs, fixed and variable. Okay, so that is 2.2.1. Now we can do 2.2.2. Okay, so 2.2.2 says, comment on the level of production achieved and the break-even point for purses for 2021. So here you can see, here you can see that the number of units produced and sold is 24,000, which is more than break-even point. Okay, so here we can just say, okay, so break-even point is 23,400 units. Okay. While units produced is produced and sold is 24,000. Okay, so we can say, therefore, the units produced and sold is 600 units more than break-even point. Okay, this will help us generate a profit. Okay, so basically that. Okay, so in order to break even, in order to make no profit, we need to sell 23,400. We're actually selling 24,000, so we're selling 600 we're selling 600 more units. Okay, so that's 600 units that is over and above break-even point will help us to generate a profit. Up until 23,400 units, we're making no profit. From the moment we sell 23,401 units, we start making a profit. So we sold 600 more units. So our profit will be based on 600 on the 600 units. Okay, so that's it we need to say over there. This will give us our 4 marks. That will generate our, that will generate our 4 marks. Okay, so that will generate our 4 marks. So now they say in 2.2.3, apart from inflation and wage increases, give 2 other possible reasons for the increase in direct labor costs per unit for persons. So here you can see last year it was 105. This year it is 135. Okay, so there's various reasons other than inflation and wage increases. So typical reasons would be 2.3. So a typical reason would be may have incurred overtime costs. Overtime, not an increase in wage, just be paying more because of may have incurred overtime costs. Another reason would be may have spent more time on producing, may have spent more time on producing the purses than budgeted for. So why that's important, if you budgeted only 1 hour per purse, but now you're spending 2 hours per purse, that will automatically increase labor costs. Okay. Another reason could be may have hired more skilled labor than required. Okay, so the more the skilled the labor, the higher skilled labor. Okay, sorry, may have higher, not more skilled labor. Higher. Okay, may have hired higher skilled labor. So the more skilled the labor, the higher the skilled the labor, so the higher the cost. Okay, so any of these will give you 2 marks each. Okay, I'm only writing 3. There may be many more other reasons. Okay, so that is 2.2.3. So 2.2.4, give 2 reasons for the decrease in the direct labor costs per unit per purse. So let's just have a look. Direct labor went from direct material cost 1.125 to 1 rand. Okay. So you can use similar thinking in labor. Okay, so in labor, we say they have incurred overtime costs. Okay, so there can't be an overtime cost. May have spent more time on producing purses. Okay, so remember, spending more time increases labor costs. In this case, we have decreased material costs. So decreased material costs. So may have used less material costs due to more efficient processes. Okay, more efficient use of material. So if you use material in a more efficient manner, then you would use less material. If you don't use material in an efficient manner, you will use more material. The more material, the higher the cost. The less material, the less the cost, the lower the cost. You may just say, may have used a more advanced cutting process. So, so for example, if you might just go to a wood company, right? Sophisticated wood companies would have electronic processes of cutting wood. So they will put in the size of the sheet, and then they will put in the what needs to be cut, and then the machine will tell you how to cut, where to cut, in the most so that you can use most of the sheet of wood as possible. The more cuts you can get out of the sheet of wood, the less wastage you will have. So that is basically how you save on costs. Then you can just say less wastage of material. Okay, so that's so any of these reasons. Another way material costs could have decreased, you could have may have sourced lower prices. Okay, lower prices. So that is another, or cheaper prices. Okay, so any of those two can give you your 4 marks. So just remember, you might just think about what drives the material costs. 2 things drive material costs. The amount of material, as well as the cost per unit of material. So 2 things drive material costs: the amount of material used, as well as the cost of material. Similarly with labor costs, 2 things drive the labor costs: the labor cost per hour and the amount of labor time. So when an amount increases, you must think in both terms. When an amount decreases, you must also think in both terms. So just think about it. Think about building a house. You use labor and you use material, right? So what will cause material costs of building a house to increase is the amount of material you use, as well as the cost of the material. The cheaper the material, the cheaper the cost. Similarly, the more expensive the material, the more expensive the cost. But what can mitigate it, what can also change material costs is how much material you use. So the less material, the lower the cost. The more material, the more the cost. And that's the same with labor. Always think of, when you come to labor and when it comes to material costs, always tell yourself that the cost can increase or decrease due to 2 things: the amount as well as the cost. Okay. So that was 2.2.4. So let's just have a look. Okay, so that comes in when it comes to purses. Now we can deal with jackets. Okay, so for jackets, they say, although Tello was aware that importing leather for the jackets would increase the direct material cost per unit, he thought that this would improve the quality of the jackets. So explain why the direct material cost per unit for jackets would probably increase if raw materials were imported. State 2 points. Okay, so so there's definitely possible reasons. So let's have a look. So 2.2.5. So if you buy from overseas, okay, if you buy from overseas, a typical reason would be increased transport costs. Okay, increased transport costs. Buying locally and buying overseas, there will be a difference in transport costs. Just think about ordering something from Amazon, Amazon.com, and ordering something from takealot.com. The transport cost from takealot.com is about 50 Rand, right? If you must buy more than a certain amount, it is free. From Amazon, whether you buy a little or a lot, there will always be transport costs because they have to incur international transporting. So therefore, that is a typical reason. Also, if you buy from Amazon versus from Takealot, you won't incur import duties or freight duties. Whereas when you buy from Amazon, you will incur import duties, may incur import duties or custom duties. Okay, so that is what you will just have a look. They will, if you try to buy something from Amazon.com, then you will see they will tell you you must pay for custom or import duties. Okay, they kind of included in the transport costs. Okay, So that is definitely a possible reason. And then also when you buy from overseas, you have to pay in their currency. So a weaker may have purchased during weak exchange rate. Okay, so you're exposed to exchange rate. Okay, exchange rates. So that is a possibility. And then so remember, increased transport costs may incur import duties or custom duties, may have purchased during a weak exchange rate, and then also, yeah, so that is basically it. Okay. A typical thing from overseas, depending where from overseas, you may be due to higher quality. So any of these reasons may be applicable. Okay, so that is 2.2.5. And then another, so provide figures to prove that Tallow was correct about the effect of this decision would have on the cost of jackets. So you can see last year it was 180, this year it was 160. Okay, so all we can say here is cost of jackets in 2021 was 360. Cost of jackets in 2020 was 180. Okay, there's an increase. Here's an increase of that minus 180. So percentage increase in material, percentage increase in material costs would be equal to the increase divided by the increase. So the increase divided by the old amount. Okay, the original amount. So the increase is simply 100%. How we get this is simply new minus old divided by old times 100. So for example, new minus old, the new price is 360 minus the old price, which is 180, divided by the old price of 180. Okay, so you will see if I work that out, 360 minus 180 divided by 180. So there you get the same answer. Okay. So there it was 360 minus 180 gives me the 180. So I just said the increase amount divided by the old amount of 180, which gives me the 100% increase. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so 2.2.5. Now we say, now they are saying calculate the increase in the selling price of the jackets. Okay, so the selling price is 780. Okay, so we can use the exact same formula. Okay, so 2.2. What was that? 2.2.6. 2.2.6. We use the exact same formula. 2.2.6. Okay, so selling price 2021, selling price 2020, change in selling price. Okay, so here we have selling price in 2021 is given to us as 1170. Selling price in 2020 was 780. So 1170 and 780. So the change or the is 1170 minus 780. Now we can say increase in selling price. So we can see the increase in selling price. It is just basically same formula. Okay, new minus old divided by old. So we just say simply new minus old, which is a change in selling price, divided by the original selling price, which is going to give us 50%. Okay, so change in selling price, which is new minus old divided by old. Okay, so there we go. So the increase in selling price is 50%. Calculate the increase percentage. So there we go, 50%. So now let's say explain the impact of the increase in selling price of, explain the impact of the increase in the selling price of jackets on the sales and profit. Quote figures or calculations. Okay, so what happened to sales? Sales decreased from that to that, and then we can work out the impact on profit. Okay, so let's have a look. So 2.2.7. So 2.2.7. So I'm going to have details. I'm going to have 2021. I'm going to have 2020. Okay, so here we're going to have, what did I want to know? Sales units. Okay, break even point units. Okay. Okay, excess units. Okay, so this is just basically units. So this is just basically units generating the profit. Okay, so I was going to do this. Okay, so here we're going to just say percentage change. So this will help us to answer this question. So the sales units in 2021 is 3631. 3631. 3631. Okay, and then the break-even number of units is 3730. 3730. 3730. No, did I see that? 3750. 3750. Okay. Then we will have over here 6350. 6350 is the number of sales units. And then they will have 5,000 units. So therefore, sales minus break even. So we short 119. Sales minus break even, we exceed by 1350. Okay. We can have the percentage change. So we will say new minus old divided by old. So 2021 minus 2020 divided by 2020. And we can just draw this thing down. Okay, same thing. Same formula, new minus old divided by old. So now we can comment. Okay, so now we can comment. So the question was, explain the impact of the increase in the selling price of jackets on the sales and on the profit. Okay, now we can comment. So here we can say the increase in sales, the increase in the selling price of the jackets caused sale units to decrease by 42.82%. Okay. Then you can also say break even point units decreased by 25% from 2020 to 2021. Okay, so there we can see. But you can say the increase in the selling price of jackets is causing the business to make a loss. Okay, how do we know? Sales units is 3631, while BEP units is 3750. Okay, so that will give you your marks. So here you can see we're only selling 3,631 units. But in order to break even, meaning to neither make a loss nor a profit, we must sell 3,750 units. So we are short by 119 units. The fact that we are short by 119 units means we can't cover all our costs. So therefore, we're making a loss. Okay, so doing this, we'll be able to explain our numbers. Okay, so that is what will drive our 4 marks. Okay, so here they say 2.2.8, Taylor wants to increase profits on jackets by an additional 250,000 Rand in the next financial year. Assuming that the cost structure remains the same, calculate the total number of additional units he must produce to achieve his target. Okay, so in order to want to increase profits by an additional 250,000 units. So we will have to find out how much we would need to sell in order to get an additional 250,000 Rand. Okay, so we just use a break even. We just need to use the break even calculation. Okay, so to work this out, we just use target profit equals, so let's see if we have fixed costs. Yes, we have fixed costs. So target profit equals fixed costs plus target profit divided by contribution margin per unit. Okay, so just to be aware, we need to do that. So what we're going to need, okay, and that will give us our target profit. So we're going to need fixed costs. I'm going to delete that. We're going to need target profit. So I'll delete this and that. And then we're going to need contribution margin per unit. So I'll delete that. Okay, so the fixed cost is given to us. The fixed cost is given to us as 1706,250. 1706,250. 1,706,250 rand. 1,706,250. The target profit is given to us as 250. 250, 123. Contribution margin, we have it as selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. So it is 1170 minus 700. So it's equal to 1170 minus 700. So there we have all the information. Okay, so target profit is equal to fixed costs plus target profit divided by contribution margin per unit. So that means to get the target profit, we need to sell 4,162 units. But the question didn't ask us how many units we must sell in order to generate the target profit. The question asks how many more additional units. So we need to say current units. So remember the current units is 3631. That's the current number of units that we are selling at. Let me just see quickly. Yes, so that's the current units we are selling at. We are currently selling 3631 units. So therefore, additional units additional sales units should be 4162 minus 3631. Okay, so the additional units is 531 units. Okay, so let's just see quickly. The question said, Tyler wants to increase profits on jackets by an additional 250 in the next financial year, assuming the cost structure remains the same. Calculate the total number of additional units he must produce to achieve this target number. Okay, so therefore it will be 5. So just let's have a look over here. So it needs to be, let's always keep the decimals there. Okay, so he must 531.23, but it can't. So it can't produce 0.23. So it needs to be 532. Additional units to sell, produce. So the final answer is that you can't produce 0.23. you can't produce 0.23 of a purse, of a jacket. You have to produce a full jacket, so therefore will be 532. Okay, so that's it from my side. I hope you found it beneficial and useful. If you want to get hold of me, you can visit our website at www.eddyhans.co.za. Email me at info@eddyhans.co.za, or you can WhatsApp me on 078 487 4902. So who are we? We are Eddy Hans. Eddy Hans helps accounting students to pass the exams confidently by making difficult concepts really easy to understand, by helping you to develop a way of thinking so that you can handle any possible question. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.